So the article that we have chosen for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is the experience of mothers and teachers of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder children and their management practices for the behaviors of the child, a descriptive phenomenological study. The authors are Lubna Harazmi and Ida Al-Kaisi. The article really focused on a qualitative study designed by the authors, meant to understand the experiences of caregivers of children with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. They wanted to see the common themes and burdens that arose in the day-to-day care for both teachers and mothers, primary caregivers of children with ADHD. So they interviewed the mothers and the teachers, and they had a number of themes that came up. In the themes for the mothers, there were academic burdens, daily living burdens, and psychological and emotional burdens, issues of hyperactivity, impulsivity, inattention really caused the mothers to see a lot of stress and anger and frustration in working with the children. And a lot of times the mothers ended up feeling powerless and hopeless, and they didn't have support from the community. They didn't have support from their medical doctor. They didn't have support from the school. And at one point, one of the mothers said, most of the times when I visit him at school, I find him out of the class. He told me they hid him, so I don't feel like he's safe at school. Another one said that every time I go there, they just start complaining. So from the beginning of the year, I didn't go to school. So that the parents really don't feel a positive, supportive thing from the school either. A lot of similar things came up with the interviews with the teachers. One of the most important things that came up with the teachers was the lack of information on ADHD and how to help with it, that their behavior was disruptive, the children's behavior, and that there was a lack of resources, a lack of support from the school system, and they thought the child was a burden in the classroom. Their behavior, their inattention, their impulsivity, that hyperactivity was becoming distraction for other students and really disturbing the class. And the teachers didn't have, any special curriculum, any specialists within the school to work with these students. They didn't have any support. They had no training or education. So they really didn't know what they were doing, quite frankly. Now, what was funny is that the teachers also said that they had no parental support. All the mother does is come to school to blame us about her daughter's bruises or our negligence. And it's just funny because we understand that the mothers are going from this feeling of being stigmatized. They're not going into the school, and the teachers aren't realizing that this is occurring, and that might not, that might be a reason why the parents stay away. But it does cause an issue there. So the study then went on to attempt to make some recommendations, but they really put the onus on the systems in place. They felt that the Ministry of Education really had its work cut out in establishing policies and programs in the schools for children with ADHD. The Ministry of Health had a lot of work to do when it came to screening and diagnosis of this disorder, and providing parental education programs. The Ministry of Education needed to do education programs for teachers, employ more specialists, things like that. Parental support. They thought it was really important that there were, consistent routines in the household. The parents have to be understanding of the developmental issues that come along with ADHD, and make sure that they work with it and set realistic expectations of these children. But that consistent, regular routines, getting a consistent medicinal schedule if they choose to put the child on medication, really monitoring homework, keeping appointments, keeping dates, keeping consistency in the children's schedule could really help. But there was a huge emphasis at the end of fighting the stigma against ADHD and the need for community support and understanding about this disorder. The teachers didn't understand it and it frustrated them. The parents didn't understand it and it frustrated them. So there's always really that big, onus on education and getting education and providing education to those who are in need of it. Our national web resources that we have. The first is CHADD, the Children and Adults with Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder National Resource on ADHD. It's a national nonprofit organization that improves the lives of people affected by ADHD through education, advocacy, and support. It's on the forefront of creating and implementing programs and services in response to the needs of adults and families affected by ADHD through collaborative partnerships, advocacy, including training for parents and K-12 teachers, hosting educational webinars and workshops, being an informative clearinghouse for the latest evidence-based ADHD information, and providing information specialists to support the ADHD community. So essentially what that article needed, CHADD provides. They also run the National Resource on ADHD, which provides several programs, science-based website on ADHD and related disorders, a helpline, a monthly webcast, a weekly newsletter, a health sciences library, programs that target underserved communities, digital media, fact sheets, social media, awareness activities, training programs, partnerships and collaborations. And just from browsing the website alone, you can easily access a section Understanding ADHD, which has information about ADHD, specific sections for parents and caregivers, for adults with ADHD, for professionals working with ADHD, and a section in Spanish. Support includes a resource directory, online support group, forum, tips, volunteer information, blogs, research studies. Advocacy has information on powerful advocacy campaigns, employment, and includes the advocacy manual. And trainings. There's a whole training calendar, information about annual conferences, awareness month, the web series, parent-to-parent, teacher-to-teacher training programs. So CHADD is one of the best resources that we found. ADDA, or the Attention Deficit Disorder Association, is the next one. They're the world's leading adult ADHD organization, an international nonprofit organization founded 25 years ago to help adults with ADHD lead better lives. So this is one that's really focused on assisting adults with ADHD. They want to support adults to focus efforts on the life stages where adults with ADHD struggle most. So seeking support and connection throughout their lifespan, the transition to college, and any post-secondary education, program, the workplace, criminal justice system, systems in place that might, be something where ADHD, people who have ADHD might need a little more support. In addition to these specific areas, ADDA works diligently to support adults with ADHD, providing virtual support groups, a conference, webinar series, monthly newsletter, advocacy programs in DC. So they go and they have a voice to policymakers, and support for and facilitation of research. The ADDA website is bright, it's attention grabbing, and it opens with a starter kit where you can become a member of the website for free. It also provides some popular webinars, educational information, newsletters, virtual support groups, a bookstore, a searchable directory of dozens of professionals in the ADHD area. So like anywhere you're near, you just search this directory and you can find a professional who can help with it. A tell us what you think section. They're all specifically linked and available at the bottom of the homepage. So it's really helpful. The last two resources are larger associations with their own ADHD resource centers attached. The first is the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry. Their mission is to promote the healthy development of children, adolescents, and families. So the homepage of their ADHD Resource Center includes an overview of the disorder, answers to some frequently asked questions, fast facts and fact sheets for families, subjects from bullying and tic disorders to bipolar, psychiatric medication, in-school services, many things. They have video clips from ADHD, a guide for families, additional clinical resources, research, training links, a list of books, and a Getting Help section, which provides another psychiatry search. It also has insurance information, in-school services information again, and related websites. But there's a lot of information and resources specific to parents and caregivers, which is important. And then also links to resource pages like this one for other conditions or risk factors that come along with ADHD. So anything from autism and depression, anxiety to child abuse, substance abuse, and specific information guides for military families of parents with ADHD. They also have youth appropriate information for teens and adolescents to be able to go through and speak up for themselves. So I think that that's a wonderful resource. The National Institute of Mental Health is a 66-year-old leader in mental health and disorder research, and it's paved the way for prevention, recovery, and cure. As a resource for ADHD, I wasn't the most impressed. It really provides definition and overview of the disorder, a focus on inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity, which we saw were key things that came up in the article, a long list of signs and symptoms, a list of risk factors, an overview of treatment and therapies, an option also then to join a study. And that was about it, some brochures and things. So CHAD, ADDA, and the ADHD Resource Center through AACAP are wonderful national resources. This is our reference page, and thank you very much.